Okay, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the second Arab Federation for Libraries and Information webinar, and welcome our distinguished guest and speaker, Krestin Mackenzie. Hi, Krestin.
Hi.
We will start our webinar by Professor Hassan Sreifi is going to welcome Krestin.
Hi, good afternoon, Christine. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the Arab Federation for Libraries and Information, I just want to welcome Christine, the president of IFLA. We are honored to have her in our webinar series. We thank you for giving us the time, and we know that your love of librarianship and librarians will let you join them everywhere you can and whenever you can. And we appreciate that time that you give us. And I just want to welcome you on behalf of all professionals, professional librarians, academic, and in the Arab region. And also, I just want to thank Dr. Hiba, the moderator and the leader of this program. Thank you, Christine, and I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Hassan. So I guess I get going. So it's a real pleasure to be here with you today. And thanks to Heba and Professor Hassan and to Professor Ahmad for organising this webinar. I'm really looking forward to talking about IFLA and telling you some of the things that we have done and what we're going to do. I'll try and speak slowly because I have a tendency to go a bit fast, so maybe you can message Heber or something if I'm going too fast and I can slow down. I'm also pleased that you were able to submit some questions, and so I've got those at the end of the presentation and I'll do my best to answer them. So I'll just bring up the PowerPoint, which I need to do that too. There we go. So I chose to talk about the Inspire, Enable, Engage and Connect because that's our mission statement. And I'll talk a little bit more about that soon. But firstly, I thought I might talk about and introduce myself to you. This is a picture of me many years ago when I was young. I grew up in the country in Victoria, in Australia. For those of you who know Australia, Victoria's down in the southeast corner, down the bottom. And I've worked in public libraries for 40 years. I've managed 3 library services, and it's been a really long and interesting career. And I've worked with a lot of fantastic people, and I think librarians are such committed, dedicated, passionate people, and it's a real joy to work with people like that. And people like yourselves who are giving up an hour of your day to listen to what's happening with IFLA, because if we just need to keep learning about new things and finding out more information. So it's really great that you've joined us today. And the second photo there is of me giving my first speech as president in Athens at the Congress last year. And I talked about the 3 things that have really defined my career over the 40 years. The first thing was that I did a job exchange to Baltimore County Public Library in the United States back in 1990. And I did that for 6 months. I took my family over with me, and it was a real eye-opener. It was quite transformational for my career to be exposed to what was happening in such an innovative library service as Baltimore County was then. And so that was a real change for me to see looking at public libraries in a different way than I had been used to. They were very customer focused. they talked about the customer being key to all they did, and that the customer really understood what they needed and what they wanted. The second thing that was a big influence on my career was when I did the graduate diploma of management. And one of the subjects that we had to do was an optional subject. And the only thing that they said was, do something you don't think you can do. Well, I decided to jump out of an aeroplane. And once you've done something like that, that you've confronted your greatest fears, afterwards you feel, well, I did that, so I can do anything else. And so that was really quite impactful for me too. And the third thing that had the biggest impact on my career was when I was invited to join the Bertelsmann network of international public library leaders back in the early 2000s. And that was a group of practitioners in public libraries at the time. It was sponsored by the Bertelsmann Foundation, which is a big German organisation. And that led me to IFLA and to the Metropolitan Library section, and then onto the governing board. So I think they're probably the three things that have impacted most on my career. And maybe you could think about the three things that have impacted most on yours to date, and just stop and think about how different people and different events and different circumstances have changed your professional career. And something I've always said is never say no. If someone gives you an opportunity, asks you to do something, if you can, say yes, because you're sure to learn something, you'll meet new people, it just enriches your life. So can I just start by saying, be adventurous, be brave, and develop a great network of colleagues. So that's about me. What about IFLA? Well, IFLA is the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. It's the global voice of libraries. It was established in 1927, and so it's 92 years old. And it's headquartered in The Hague, which is where I'm talking to you today, because I've been here for meetings. And so that's IFLA. I guess most of you would know what IFLA was. We've got 1,500 members now, and that's made up of institutions, associations and individuals from 150 different countries. So there's 193 countries recognised by the United Nations. So we're on our way to having nearly global domination of and representation from all countries of the world. The lifeblood of IFLA is the professional units, and I guess some of you that are listening today to this webinar will be involved with standing committees and different professional units. We've got 44 sections and 16 special interest groups, and there's over 1,200 people who volunteer their time and contribute their expertise to strengthening the library field and making libraries as good as we can make them. So IFLA's mission, as I mentioned before, is inspiring, engaging, enabling and connecting the field. And it's the title for this talk today. It's the theme for this year's Congress in Dublin. And these four doing words emerged from the Global Vision project that we went through. So this was our collective view of what IFLA needs to be doing to make the greatest impact. So I first want to talk about inspiring the field. What's IFLA doing to make sure that people feel passionate about libraries, who want to just do their best for their communities and for individual people? So we started off with the IFLA Global Vision project, and some of you may have been involved in that. The it started really when Gerald Leitner was appointed, well, when he was interviewed for the role of Secretary General, because I was on the interview panel, and we asked him what he wanted to do for IFLA, what he would bring to IFLA, and he said IFLA needs a global vision. We need a global vision for libraries so that we're all speaking with one voice, that we all understand what libraries, the potential of libraries and what they can do. And so we went through, once he got the job, this process started. And the reason that he said that we needed to do this was because the challenges facing the library field from ever-increasing globalisation can only be met and overcome by an inclusive global response from a united library field. And so this was the problem that we needed to solve, that you're aware of what's happening in the world and how if we're just fragmented, if we don't speak with one voice, we're not going to have maximum impact. And so we started on the Global Vision Project, and it was huge because we had engagement from 190 member states on all 7 continents, including Antarctica. When we added up the number of years that people had been working in libraries who contributed to the Global Vision, 450,000 years of library experience. That's a lot of library experience. Over 9,000 workshop participants were involved. There was 180 workshops around the world, and there were 22,000 people who contributed their views online. And we were really pleased that we gathered in this information from all age groups and all different kinds of libraries. And so the result of that was the top level report that came up with the 10 opportunities and the 10 challenges facing the library field. And this has been, of course, translated into all the IFLA official languages. So the vision that we came up with was a strong and united library field powering literate, informed and participative societies. And we are united globally in our goals and values, but we must connect global and local actions effectively. So coming through from all those contributions, from all those people, really there was a lot of agreement on what the most important, what the things that we're really good at, and that was quite unanimous, and also the things that the opportunities that we have to improve what we're doing. There was a lot of unanimity amongst everyone from all different parts of the world. And so I've got this little summary here of what it found. So I'll just run through this and you can see it. So I guess that you've probably seen those highlights and opportunities before, but I think, you know, it's always interesting to just go back through them again and remind ourselves of where we think our real strengths lie and where our real opportunities are. And so through the Global Vision project, what we wanted to do was engage the field. So this is the second part of the talk today, and how does IFLA engage? And to do that, we wanted to create a development roadmap to show people the process from going from the Vision project right through to August 2021, basically. So the first part of the strategy process was the strategic framework discussions began. And this was, we had our vision, and so then we needed to look at how we were going to develop the vision into strategy and into actions, because as Gerald Leitner often says, vision without strategy is a hallucination. And so we really need to understand, we've got our vision, we know what we're good at, we know what opportunities we have. How does that then become a plan, an action plan that we can do things about? And so we invited people through the ideas store to contribute their ideas about how they could see that the vision could be translated into action. We had a number of regional workshops and governing board working groups, and that was launched. The strategy for 2019 to 2024 was launched in Athens last year at the Congress. So from there on, we're working on the governance structure, and I'll talk a bit more about this later, but you can see on this roadmap how we've carefully mapped out how we're moving in this 3 years to really transforming IFLA to become a more inclusive and participative organisation. So as I was saying before, the IFLA Global Vision Idea Store was to really, the idea was to gather people's ideas about what they see as important for libraries and what we can do to turn these, this vision into action. Because if we all work together, we're going to make a huge difference. If we all are working to the same goals and the same outcomes, working together is going to make such a difference rather than just us individually working along by ourselves. And so we released the new strategic plan, as I said, the new strategic framework in Athens in August last year. And you'll see Inspire, Engage, Enable and Connect. And of course, that's been translated into all our official languages. And so the plan's not just for IFLA, it's not just for IFLA sections or IFLA headquarters or the governing board, but it's also for libraries and library associations everywhere to allow them to have a greater alignment and an effectiveness in supporting the field and the people it serves. And so through that, we'll have a stronger global voice. And so you might have a look at the strategic plan and find pieces of it that you can use in your libraries or your associations or your sections. And please feel free to do that. You know, just use what you want to use out of it. Because the more people, as I said, the more people use the same words, the same actions, the more impact that we're going to have. So the governance review. This is the reason I'm in The Hague at the moment, because we've just had a meeting on the governance review by the steering committee. And we realised that we needed to look at the structure of IFLA to ensure that it was suitable to be able to achieve what we had in the strategy. One of my favourite management speak phrases is structure follows strategy. So once you have your strategy in place, then you can look at your structure and say, well, have we got the right pieces here to make sure that we can achieve our strategy? And so there was an announcement just a few days ago about the governance review. And what we're doing is we're looking at the governing board structure, the professional unit structure, and the strategic committees, and just looking at them as a whole to say, how can we make IFLA more participatory, more inclusive? How can we make sure it's effective and efficient? And so that's what we're currently doing. And this really marks, the strategy marks a new start for IFLA. And we need to look at the structures, as I was saying, and there needs to be more and different opportunities to be involved. We can't just keep on doing the way we've been doing. We need to be thinking more about how can we involve everyone in the work of IFLA and in the work of libraries. And we want to widen participation across all world regions. And we need structures that allow us to intensify to support our work for the professional units. But we don't want to do it just, you know, the governing board decides. So we need people to be engaged. So we've already had one survey out with the professional units and the general members. And what we're planning to do in May, probably late May, the way things are going, is that we will have a draft proposal to share with people. And so we wanted to make sure that there was clarity around the structure, and people understood the role of different, of the governing board, of the IFLA staff, of the professional units, so that people really understood their role in how they can make IFLA really great. We want to make sure we've got the right people for the right jobs. We've got a lot of talented volunteers. We want to make sure that they're in the best place to contribute their ideas. And we want to make sure our governing board is really able to be clear about governance and to understand what their role is, and to make sure that it's representing a diverse range of members and experiences. We're looking at representation, so we want to make sure that, as I was saying, IFLA is really representative and inclusive, and we want to be ambitious and innovative but realistic. And so some of our standing committees have great ideas, but it's not always been possible to give them the support. Therefore, we're looking at ways of reorganising committees so that there's more involvement and better communication. So then we go on to enabling the field. And we've got a number of, we've got a lot of material available on the website. The IFLA website is a rich and wonderful and varied place that you can end up with all sorts of information. And we are getting a new website. It's coming along. But in the meantime, the old one's certainly got plenty of information there. So, of course, one of the main ways that of enabling the profession is through the United Nations 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. And we've used that as a major platform to engage libraries around the world, because it's something that affects all libraries. It doesn't matter where they are, doesn't matter what country they are, because all countries have signed up to the United Nations 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm sure you're familiar with them. So IFLA has been engaged for a long time in developing the UN 2030 Agenda. Since 2012, we've been advocating to make sure that ensuring access to information, safeguarding cultural heritage, universal literacy, and access to information and communication technologies to ICT, to ensure that those 4 things were included in the United Nations 2030 agenda. It wasn't about making sure libraries were included, it was making sure that what we do in libraries is included. And then in 2015, as I was saying, all member states of the United Nations adopted it, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And boy, do we need them. Just having lived through Australia's summer and the terrible bushfires that we've had, I mean, no one can deny climate change, and it's really important that we all work hard to achieve these Sustainable Development Goals. So libraries have a real role in the United Nations 2030 agenda. We've got to know and believe that libraries make an important contribution to development. We need to advocate to ensure that policymakers understand that libraries and access to information must be included as part of national and regional development plans. And some countries have done this really well to make sure that libraries are included in their national plans. And I can proudly say that Australia is one of those, that ALIA, the Australian Library and Information Association, has really worked quite hard with our government departments to make sure that libraries are acknowledged as how they're contributing to achieving the goals. And of course, it's not just 1 or 2 goals that libraries are impacting on, it's the whole agenda. And as you know, that each country is responsible for developing and implementing their own national strategies. So it's surprising to me, I'm not sure how well known the Sustainable Development Goals are in your region, but it's actually very disappointing to me when I go to, and still I go and speak at places now in Australia, in a lot of places, and they don't know what the Sustainable Development Goals are. And so it's really important that libraries use their advocacy to share how important these goals are. There's all sorts of different ways you can do that. You can share about them in our libraries. You can learn about what people want from the goals. And also, I heard a United Nations person speak last year, I think it was, and he was saying that 65% of the targets need to be achieved locally. So we can't just sort of sit back and say, oh, well, the government will fix that, or someone else will fix it. We really need to be working at a local level to achieve these goals. Another thing that IFLA is engaged in is cultural memory, and this is very important, as you know. I don't need to tell you how important it is in your part of the world. Culture is a basic need. A community thrives through cultural heritage, and it dies without it. And our cultural heritage consists of tangible, intangible, and all sorts of different assets that we've inherited from the past. And preservation and restoration of cultural heritage has always been a priority for IFLA, and we do quite a lot in this area. The IFLA Trend Report is another thing that we provide to enable the communities, the library community to be enabled. And this particular trend report, the original one was in 2013, and we've been doing annual updates for the last few years. And the 2019 update was based on the 9 interventions at the President's meeting in Athens. And it talks about how the increasing uncertainty in our environment is a really important trend to be aware of. The need to take a holistic approach to dealing with complexity, and the need to focus our advocacy and engagement efforts. So they were sort of the 3 themes that came through in this 2019 update that was released a couple of months ago. All these things I'm showing you are easily available on the IFLA website. So you'll be able to find them all there. If you just go to the ifla.org, you'll find them all listed. And I'm also pleased to say that we are working on a brand new edition of the IFLA Trend Report, which will be coming out either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Another important piece of work that IFLA does to support and enable the profession is around IFLA standards. And so there's a lot of standards available for you to use. Again, you can just go into the website and find what you need to do to use those, because we've got all these experts who know our profession, who know what we need to be able to do, and so they've created these standards, and then they're there for you to use. Another report that's interesting is a report that IFLA does in partnership with TASHA, which is the Technology and Social Change Group at the University of Washington in Seattle in the US. And this is the second report in this series. And what it does is monitor the progress that countries are making towards fulfilling their commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals, and looking in particular at access to information and what countries are doing in that. And so this particular report, the 2019 report, is looking particularly at connectivity, at social and cultural norms, at skills and at laws. And so it also includes some case studies from libraries. So again, there's a lot of really useful information there, and I recommend it to you. IFLA's been publishing a lot of materials over the years, and so I'm just showing you a few of the things that are available through the IFLA library and the various print publications that we have. And again, you can find them on the website. So the fourth area I wanted to talk about was connecting the library field. And this is one of our flagship projects. This is the library map of the world. And it is available in Arabic, and there's library data there from 125 countries, and there's information for you to use. So you can actually download the statistics in CSV format, and then you can do with them what you like. So there's it's basic information in some ways, but I know on Facebook the other day there was something about the library staffing ratios in Oceania, and that created a bit of a discussion about why is it so high, and would it be higher if or lower if we pulled out the Pacific Islands, for example. So you can do that. You can go in there and download this data and manipulate it to use for advocacy or for whatever you want to do. There's also 29 Sustainable Development Goals stories highlighted there from 20 countries, and they're being added to all the time. And these are stories about how libraries have impacted on their communities and on individuals, and using the Sustainable Development Goals as the framework. And there's also 16 country profiles there that talk about the library field, and how many libraries there are, and what the background is, and what the environment is that libraries are working in that particular country. And from your region, Tunisia and Iraq have their country profiles up. And then we have the Sustainable Development Goals Storytelling Manual. And this has been developed to help people tell their stories and to make them impactful and show how libraries are impacting on their societies. So it gives you some hints and tips about how to choose the best stories, and then how to present them, and then how to tell them. So that's another resource that you might be interested in. Another thing that IFLA does a lot is around partnerships, and with my president's theme of let's work together, partnerships are really important for me, that we are really working on our partnerships and making sure that we're getting we've got the best partners we can have. So we've got some high level partners like UNESCO, So we work with them on Memory of the World and World Book Capital and other projects. WIPO, of course, the World Intellectual Property Organisation, where we go there to a lot of the focus, apart from the obvious copyright ones, are around the Marrakesh Treaty and ensuring that people with print disabilities can get access to materials. Another really important partnership is with the International Council of Archives. And just last week, we released a joint statement on archiving and privacy with the ICA. Another one that I hadn't been familiar with until I attended their conference in Durban at the end of last year is the United Cities and Local Government. And that's a peak body for local governments, and it's housed in Barcelona. And one of the really big pushes they have, one of their important things they're looking at is how culture is really another pillar of achieving the sustainable development goals. So we talk about the economic and the social and then the environment, but we also should be talking about culture as a real enabler of sustainable development. And so we're working to formalise that agreement with them and have a memorandum of understanding with them. And another one that we work a lot with is Blue Shield. We're a founding member of Blue Shield. Blue Shield's like the Red Cross of cultural artefacts, and so that the role of the Blue Shield is to identify and protect cultural sites from natural and man-made disasters. So they're just some of the examples of some of the partnerships that we are working, the partners that we work with. I want to do a quick advertisement for our conference, our Congress in Dublin in August. For those of you who've been to IFLA congresses, you'll know what a real buzz there is around when everyone gets to meet up, when 3,000 or 4,000 librarians get together. There's always a lot to talk about and a lot of information to share and a lot of fun to be had. You might be thinking about the virus. We have put a notice up on the Congress website saying that we know that the virus is causing concern. We're really listening to the World Health Organization and what they're saying about it. At this stage, we are still assuming that we're going ahead and that we're going to have a wonderful, vibrant conference in Dublin. I do hope that you will consider joining us there. Why would you want to join IFLA? So you can, if you join IFLA, you actually have a chance to define your profession. You can have a voice through what I've been talking about today, the Global Library Vision. We really asked all our members what they thought about that. We asked them to contribute ideas to the idea store. So there's all different ways that you can have an impact on how the profession evolves. You can decide what's on the agenda globally. You can make a difference if you belong to IFLA, because your voice is amplified, you have access to more information. You can keep up to date, you can help others and help yourself, and of course there's the network and collaboration. So you can join IFLA as as a personal member, or your organisation, your institution, or your association. And I think I'm getting to the end now, and this is one of our taglines, we are IFLA, because sometimes people say, why doesn't IFLA do this? Why doesn't IFLA do that? And well, we are IFLA. IFLA headquarters has a staff of 24 people here in The Hague, and everyone else is a volunteer and everyone else is doing their best. And so, you know, if you want to do something under the IFLA umbrella, please do it. But please also try not to say, well, IFLA should do this, because, as I say, we are IFLA. And this wonderful photo was taken outside the Tunisia National Library in 2018 when we had our regional Global Vision workshop there, and maybe some of you attending this seminar today were at it. And it was just the most marvellous thing. And I had never been to that part of the world before, and I just had a really lovely time. So if anyone's from Tunisia attending today, thank you. So as I was saying, my theme is Let's Work Together, my presidential theme. I really believe that we need to work together to make the biggest impact that we can. We need to speak with one voice. We're not going to achieve things if we just go about it individually. We've got to partner with other people. We've got to find other organisations that share our values. We've all got to work together to make libraries as good as they can be. And I'll just share a little bit of this with you. I suspect that mightn't have been as popular in your part of the world as it was in ours in the 1970s. And so I don't know if it's familiar with you, but with you. So as I was saying at the beginning, I did ask Heber if she could ask you if you had any particular questions that you wanted me to answer. And so 2 came through this morning, and I don't know if Heber's received any more. But the first one's around encouraging Arab participation in IFLA's projects and committees. It costs a lot to attend the IFLA conference, especially the developing countries are eager to participate. So I hope that through this talk today I've explained how really we are encouraging participation. We understand that we need to be more inclusive. We understand that we need to think differently about the way we do things. It's not just letting everyone come to the conference cheaper. That's really not about it. Things like the conference now, a lot of the programs are being live streamed. From Athens, there are 11 sessions live streamed, and they're still available on the IFLA YouTube, so you can find them and have a look at if you want to do that. But the other thing we're doing is through the governance review, we're really looking at how we can create other opportunities for people to get engaged with IFLA. And some of you might have had something to do with that Division 5 declaration that was prepared at the satellite meeting for the Division 5 last year. And that's been one of the foundation documents that we've taken into account when we've been doing the governance review. We really want a more inclusive organisation. And we're looking for diverse representation, and that really is a priority for the governing board and for the professional units. So I hope that encourages you that it's certainly front of our mind, and hopefully when you see the new structure that you will see that it is really encouraging more participation. The second question was around building organisational capacity around the sustainable development goals. Now, I hope that I've also shown you that there is a lot of information on the IFLA website that you are free to use. And there's the IAP program, the International Advocacy Program that was run, I guess that was 3-4 years ago now. All those resources are still there on the website, and they can really help you develop programs and to think about how you can promote the SDGs. And in particular, there was a paper I found called Sustainability is Libraries' Business, Libraries and Sustainable Development. And that's a paper that's been prepared by IFLA. It's in Arabic, it's been translated into Arabic. And you can find, if you go onto the front page of the website and then you go to the IAP, there's a logo there for the Sustainable Development Program, and then under that publications, and there's quite a list of materials there. Some of them have been translated. And so IFLA can't really build, as I was saying before, we're all IFLA. So IFLA headquarters doesn't have the capacity to be developing programs for specific regions like that. But you can certainly use anything that's on the IFLA website and help develop your own programs. And we are I'm actually in discussion with the Secretary General now about how we might be able to do some more around sustainable development goals. So hopefully we'll have some more information about that. So I hope that's answered those questions. And really that's the end. So thank you very much for your participation. And I'll throw back to Heber to see if she's got anything more to ask or.
First of all, thank you so much, Christine, for this great presentation that summarizes all what IFLA is doing. And I would like to thank you so much for the advice you gave us to be brave and especially develop a great network. I myself, especially for the great network, I benefit a lot from it. So I have one comment concerning the SDGs and how we libraries can contribute. It's worth mentioning that the Arab Federation for Libraries and Information got a grant from IFLA, and it targets public librarians to provide an online training course concerning the SDGs and advocacy. We target 31 librarians from public library around the Middle East and North Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So can I brief in Arabic what you mentioned in your presentation?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Before that, Professor Hassan, would you like before the briefing to say anything? Professor Hassan, can you please unmute the sound?
Now I think you heard me. هبة كويس الصوت؟
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. I just want to thank Christine for this webinar, and we all happy to have you. And the same thing, we are all eager to work with IFLA, especially in encouraging people to participate through either attending the conferences, but the main thing is to be positive towards the profession and the way we develop the profession and library associations. Library association needs help in the region because of different variables around. Either because some of the undeveloped countries need to be strengthen their library associations, or even IFLA as the biggest professional association in the region, and where we have regular meetings with the National Library Association leaders, and we want to sort of like put forward the plan to join and increase the number of participants from the Arab region in IFLA, according with the IFLA's strategy. And the last workshop at Alexandria, we talked about it. Sort of like if some of the countries are easier to join and participate, but most of the countries are not that fortunate. Especially if we consider, I'll give you one story. Some of the librarians are usually planned for 6 months to attend IFLA's conference, annual conference. And I know that from personal context. So what we did is our next conference in Morocco, we put the the conference fee is $50 only, just to encourage people to come, because our goal is much bigger than we want people to come and talk about how we develop the library activities in the region. I'll go back and thank you, Christine, and I'm looking forward for future work. Thank you, Hiba. Thank you, Ahmed. Shukran.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Hassan. I'll give a brief in about 5 to 10 minutes in Arabic. احنا طبعا كانت ضيفتنا النهارده كريستين ماكنزي، هي رئيسة الاتحاد الدولي للجامعات ومؤسسات المكتبات، وبدأت العرض المرئي بتاعها بتعريف من هي كريستين ماكنزي. هي خريجة كلية الآداب ودبلومة المكتبات، وحاليا هي رئيسة الاتحاد الدولي للجمعيات ومؤسسات المكتبات، واتكلمت قليلا عن نشأتها وعملها في البابليك لايبرز أو في المكتبات العامة. ثم استعرضت الافلا وتعريفها، وما هي الافلا. هي الهيئة الدولية الرائدة اللي بتمثل مصالح وخدمات المكتبات والمعلومات ومستفيديها، وبتعتبر أيضا الصوت العالمي لمهنة المكتبات والمعلومات. تناولت أيضا في العرض المرئي الخاص بها إحصائيات عن الإفلا، سواء من حيث عدد الأعضاء، الأفراد، المؤسسات، الجمعيات، عدد الدول، وعدد اللجان، وعدد الخبراء والمتطوعين الموجودين في الإفلا. وتطرقت إلى رسالة الإفلا اللي هي الخاصة بالالهام والتحفيز. أيضا تناولت الرؤية العالمية للإفلا والتحديات اللي بتواجه حقل المكتبات. وذكرت ان الرؤيه العالميه الحاليه ممكن يعني اختصارها في ان هي تكون نحو مجتمع مكتبات قوي ومتحد، يدعم مجتمعات متعلمه ومستنيره يشارك فيها الجميع. فهي بترى، او الافلا بترى، ان احنا جميعا متحدين في القيم والاهداف، وان احنا بنعمل معا. تناولت ايضا خريطه الطريق الخاصه بالافلا من عام 2017 لعام 2021، وكيف يمكن تحويل الرؤية الخاصة بالإفلا إلى فعل أو نشاط، والخطة الاستراتيجية الجديدة اللي تم إطلاقها في أثينا سنة 2019. وتطرقت إلى أن الخطة دي ليست فقط للإفلا لكنها للمكتبات يمكن استخدامها ويمكن تطويعها. تناولت أيضا المصادر المتاحة على موقع الإفلا للمستفادة منها، ومنها على سبيل المثال المصادر الخاصة بالSDGs أو أهداف التنمية المستدامة. وأشارت أنه هو حاليا بيتم إعداد ويب سايت أو موقع جديد للإفلا. ذكرت أيضا أن الإفلا كانت بتعمل في أجندة أهداف التنمية المستدامة منذ عام 2012 مع الأمم المتحدة. تطرقت ايضا للافلا ترند ومعايير الخاصه بالافلا، ودي كلها حضراتكم من ضمن الحاجات المتاحه على الويب سايت الخاص بالافلا. وايضا الى الدليل الخاص بالتنميه والوصول الى المعلومات، وده اللي بتعمله بالتعاون مع تاشا في سياتل. وهو متاح المختصر باللغه العربيه في زي مختصر باللغه العربيه متاح على موقع الافلا. أيضا تطرقت إلى خريطة مكتبات العالم والجايد أو الدليل اللي ممكن من خلاله إن أنا أستطيع إن أنا أحمل البيانات، وكيفية كتابة الستوري تيلينج أو كيفية كتابة القصص الخاصة بالمكتبات المتعلقة بالتنمية المستدامة. اختتمت الحديث بتاع الخاص بها من خلال استعراض عدد الشراكات أو عدد من الشراكات مع الإفلا، وموقع الإفلا المتاح عبر الإنترنت، والخاص بالمؤتمر اللي هيعقد السنة دي في دبلن بأيرلندا. واختتمت الحديث بالأسباب اللي تخلي أي متخصص يشترك في الإفلا، وأيضا بالثيم الخاص بها، الثيم الرئاسي الخاص بها Let's work together، هيا لنعمل معا، وهو ده المحور الرئاسي اللي هي اختارته في الإفلا. وكانت ورد لنا عدد من الأسئلة هي أجابت عليها. كان أول سؤال فيهم إن هو الخاص بارتفاع الاشتراك او ارتفاع التكلفه بالنسبه للمتخصصين لحضور مؤتمر الافلا. اشارت ان علشان انا استفيد من الافلا مش شرط ان انا بس احضر المؤتمر، لكن دلوقتي هو بيتم زي بس او بيتعمل لايف ستريمينج او بس عبر اليوتيوب الخاص بالافلا لبعض جلسات المؤتمر، وده كله متاح على الشانل الخاصه بالافلا او القناه الخاصه بالافلا. فانا اقدر كمستفيد ما قدرتش احضر المؤتمر اقدر ان انا اشوف هذه التسجيل للجلسات. الحقيقه الملاحظ ان الجلسات تسجيل الجلسات زاد سنه عن سنه، يعني السنه اللي فاتت كانت اكثر من السنه اللي قبلها. وهم حاليا يعني كريستين موجوده حاليا في هولندا علشان يشوفوا كيف يعني من ضمن الاجتماع اللي هم بيجتمعوه النهارده انهم يشركوا المكتبيين في كافه الانشطه. السؤال الثاني كان بيتعلق بالجزئيات الخاصه بالمصادر الخاصه بالاس دي جيز وازاي ان بعض الدول تستفيد. فهي اشارت ان في عديد من المصادر المتعلقه باهداف التنميه المستدامه اوريدي متاحه على الويب سايت. ده كان باختصار شديد الكونتنت للبرزنتيشن بتاعت كريستين، واحنا ان شاء الله يعني هنستأذنها في ان احنا نتيح العرض المرئي الخاص بيها عبر يعني وسائل التواصل الخاصه بالاتحاد العربي للمكتبات والمعلومات. Christine, I just finished my brief about your presentation, and
thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Can we ask you to share your presentation with through the social media for our Federation on Libraries and Information?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
So we are open now to question. Can you just end the sharing, your presentation sharing? So we are open to question.
Maybe you have one on the chat.
Christine, can you stop sharing your presentation?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Is that what you're saying to me?
It's okay.
Okay, stop. Sorry.
It's okay. Yes. So we have a question from Dr. Majid Abu Sharha, and he is saying, is it possible that IFLA make accreditation to some of library or library associations professional program which may help in convincing government for more library association involvement?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that, Heber.
The first question is from Dr. Majid Abu Sharha.
Yeah.
He is saying, is it possible that IFLA make accreditation to some of library or library associations professional programs which may help in convincing government for more library association involvement?
Well, we do have quite a bit of information already on the website around advocacy. So perhaps that might be a place to start. I know that one of those live streamed sessions from the conference in Athens was Stephen Weiber talking about advocacy and how we can advocate with government. So if you go to the oh gosh, I think probably if you just put it in the search engine, but there is an IFLA YouTube channel that has all the presentations from Athens last year, and there was some really interesting conversations there around which you can do too. So I guess there's two ways of looking at it. What we've done already around advocacy, but also if you have a look at some of those presentations, you could, I'm sure, pick up something there.
Yeah, I think if you allow me, Christine, the advocacy feature, that's very important because knowing the nature of the how we deal with governments in the region, we need support to convince them about what we do, and having international organization like IFLA behind us is very important. A few weeks ago, I was in a meeting with the newly appointed Vice Minister of Culture in Saudi Arabia, and I mentioned IFLA because they are starting a new era of working with libraries, and sort of I thought I dropped a few things about IFLA and library associations and what we could do based on the international vision. What I was happy to see in his presentation, they talked about the United Nations goals and objectives, and sort of like I talked about IFLA involvement and the IFLA involvement and what the local national level. So that's why I think from time to time we need the support of international organizations to make our voice heard clearly. That's I think this is very important to us.
You're very correct, and we've been working probably more Gloria Perez Salmeron more in Latin America with the cultural ministers there, and there's been quite a lot of work done there. So it's turning out to be a really good model for what we could do in other regions. Good. So I know that we'd be very open to talking about how we can progress that in the Arabic region.
So we have other question like, is it possible to hold workshop in the region in cooperation with IFLA and the National Association on issues such as developing information policies or applying standards, and also social peace in professional practices?
Well, I think IFLA and IFLA are already collaborating on a conference next year, are they? Is that right? So yeah, we do everything we can to support the regions, and as we move forward, we're looking to strengthen our regional
Heba?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, I can't commit this morning to saying yes, we can run workshops, but if you could let us know what sort of topics would be helpful, what sort of information would be helpful, then we can, as I said, I can see what
actually
resources
regarding
are available.
Yeah, regarding IFLA, we are talking with IFLA and the General Secretary, and we will be organizing the IFLA regional conference, which comes every 2 years, and I talked to the General Secretary about the theme, and usually what IFLA does, it holds a workshop, and they send 2 speakers, and then we open the floor for participants from the region. We usually collect like 16 papers on the theme that we agreed upon with IFLA. So it has a workshop, it has 2 main speakers from IFLA, and also it has like 16 participants from the region. It starts with, I remember when we started years ago, we started with the workshop that stronger local library associations, and we hold that workshop where IFLA asked us to invite all library association leaders. So we'll continue upon that, inshallah, very soon. And we have enough time because our next IFLA regional conference will be in 2021. So but we already started. We agreed upon a few things.
That's great. Thanks, Hassan. Yeah.
We have two other questions. What is the relationship between IFLA and the Department of Libraries and Academic Information Sections?
I'm not sure that I can answer that one. I don't know. Professor Hassan, do you?
Okay, let's go to the other question. Library association workers needs workshop on topics such as financial management in associations and developing and updated regulation. Can IFLA hold such workshop? I guess this is like the other subject that was raised. But,
Yes, well, IFLA had the Building Strong Library Associations program back a few years ago, and I would imagine that a lot of that information is still available. So perhaps if you have a look on the website, and yeah.
Okay. So can I ask the attendee, is there any other question that you wanted to ask Kристин?
If I just may comment, because I looked at the chat and I think what Kристин said about especially the advocacy and some of the programs that we tend to learn more and more about. The awareness of IFLA and IFLA's work, especially in the region, I think needs to be shown more and more, the awareness level. And it comes upon us and the IFLA, and I think we should do more in doing this. And hopefully, we promise that we will be working on different programs to show and talk about those programs. We will keep talking to IFLA about how to mobilize or help the people or library associations and the big libraries like national libraries to participate. IFLA is a huge international body that takes care takes care of librarianship and library associations. But at the same level, we have few concerns. I know from talking to people, especially what they did. I talked about collective memberships, and all of our members at IFLA, they have our renewed membership, so they can get discount from IFLA. Which if you pay the $30 membership in IFLA, you use IFLA's membership. And also all local library associations, if they pay their fees, their members are sort of like eligible for some discounts. So we will keep working, and we will keep working on IFLA and the awareness level, and hopefully we will have a good program next year to talk about IFLA and the region, so we can convey your message and our message, since we have united messages together to all librarians in the region. And we will keep working on, because I think we have to keep working because we share the same goals, we share the same vision.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kристин. Thank you, Hiba. The last word for you, Hiba.
We have just one last question, so I give the mic to Telerum. Can you please type your question?
While we're waiting, can I just say thank you so much to Professor Hassan and to Hiba for all the work that you do and all the work that IFLA is doing. It's just wonderful to see everything that's being done. And so thank you very much for that and for your collaboration with IFLA. It's really important.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure that the sound's not working. We have your email address, Kристин, and
yes.
I guess
you know where to find me.
Yes, it's not hard, it's easy. So I would like to thank you so much for these great presentations that you give us today, and I hope in the following years that we collaborate much with each other through IFLA and IFLA for sure. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's work together.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.